23 combat clashes took place between units of the defense forces of Ukraine and Russian invaders. Ukrainian defenders continue to conduct an offensive operation in the Melitopol and Berdiansk directions. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said this in its evening update as of 1800 on August 15, Ukrinform reports. According to the General Staff, in the indicated sectors, the defense forces of Ukraine continue to conduct an offensive operation, getting entrenched in the regained positions and engaging in counter-battery fire. The Air Force of Ukraine launched 7 strikes on the areas where enemy personnel, weapons and military equipment were concentrating. For their part, rocket forces and artillery units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine hit 2 enemy artillery units in firing positions, as well as an anti-aircraft missile system and another important object of the invaders. Over the past day, Russians launched 42 missile attacks and 44 airstrikes, carried out 40 MLRS attacks on the positions of Ukrainian forces and populated areas. As a result of the Russian terrorist attacks, there are dead and wounded among the civilian population, as well as damage to residential buildings and other infrastructure. The General Staff stresses that the threat of the enemy launching further missile and air strikes on Ukraine remains high. In the Volyn and Polishcha directions, the operational situation has not undergone changes. In the Syvershina and Slobozhanshina directions, the enemy launched an airstrike on the area of Stepny of Sumy region, used mortars and artillery to shell more than 20 settlements, including Taimonovichi, Kodivka, and Remiak of Chernihiv region, Saradina Buda, Fotovizh, Atinsk, Katarinivka, and Vodolahi of Sumy region, Veterinarn, Hatish, Vovchansk, Krydyanka and Ambarn of Kharkiv region. In the Kupiansk direction, Russians conducted unsuccessful offensive actions in the areas southeast of Vilshiny and east of Petropavlivka of Kharkiv region. The invaders launched airstrikes on Ivanivka, Zarizov and Vilshiny districts of Kharkiv region, as well as Stelmakivka of Luhansk region. Kupiansk, Pishain and Cherneshchina of Kharkiv region came under mortar and artillery fire. In the Lyman direction, Russian airstrikes hit the areas of Bilohorivka in Luhansk region, Seversk, Spern and Vesel in Donetsk region. Kolodyazy and Seversk of Donetsk region were hit by enemy artillery. In the Bakhmut direction, enemy airstrikes hit Vashukivka, Klashivka, Andriivka, and Tivnikny of Donetsk region. More than 10 settlements came under artillery shelling there, including Privolia, Marko, Bodanivka, Chasev Yar, Klashivka, and Bila Hora of Donetsk region. In the Avdiivka direction, Russian troops conducted unsuccessful offensive actions in the area south of Avdiivka, Donetsk region. They used artillery to attack more than 10 settlements, including Karamek, Stepov, Avdiivka, Severn, and Pervomaysk, Donetsk region. Avdiivka and Nevelsky districts were hit by airstrikes. In the Mariinka direction, the defense forces continue to hold back Russian troops in the Mariinka and Krasnohorivka areas of Donetsk region. The enemy launched an airstrike on Krasnohorivka area. More than 10 settlements came under enemy artillery fire, including Oleksandropol, Mariinka, Novomikhailivka, Katarinivka, and Yelizavetivka in Donetsk region. In the Shakhtarsk direction, the invaders made unsuccessful attempts to regain the lost position in the Urozhine area of Donetsk region. They used artillery to shell more than 10 settlements, including Vuhledar, Prekostivka, Vlika Novosilka, Blahodatna, Staromayorsk, and Rivnopil of Donetsk region. Enemy airstrikes hit the areas of Vlika Novosilka, Makarivka, Staromayorsk and Urozhine of Donetsk region. In the Zaporizhia direction, enemy airstrikes hit the districts of Omelnik, Malotokmichka, Novodanilivka, and Robotyne of Zaporizhia region. More than 20 settlements came under enemy artillery shelling. In the Kherson direction, Russian forces launched airstrikes on Mykolaievka and Sadov districts of Kherson region. Kherson and Poniativka of Kherson region and Oshakiv of Mykolaiv region came under enemy artillery fire. As Ukrinform reported, on the night of August 15, Russian forces fired 28 cruise missiles of various types at Ukraine, 16 of which were intercepted by air defense forces. General Staff: Defense forces hold back Russian troops in Marinka sector. The defense forces of Ukraine are holding back Russian troops in the Marinka sector. 11 combat clashes have taken place at the front in the past 24 hours. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said this in its evening update as of 1800 on August 14, Ukrinform reports. In the Melitopol and Berdiansk directions, the defense forces of Ukraine continue to conduct an offensive operation, getting entrenched in the regained positions and engaging in counter-battery fire. The Air Force of Ukraine launched 11 strikes on Russian troops, 1 on their command post, 7 strikes on areas where personnel, weapons and military equipment were concentrated, and 3 strikes on anti-aircraft missile systems. The Russian army launched another airstrike and missile attack on the territory of Ukraine using Caliber missiles and Iranian-made Shahed-136 131st combat drones. The enemy targeted Odessa region. Over the past day, the enemy launched 12 missile attacks and 24 airstrikes, carried out 40 MLRS attacks on the positions of the defense forces in populated areas. As a result of the Russian terrorist attacks, there are dead and wounded among the civilian population, as well as damage to residential buildings and other infrastructure. The General Staff stresses that the threat of the enemy launching further missile and air strikes on Ukraine remains high. According to the General Staff, the Moscow regime continues the illegal integration of the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine into its social and political sphere. Thus, in Svatov, Luhansk region, in order to change the leadership in the local self-government bodies, the invaders demand that representatives of administrations and village councils resign, at their own will. Russians plan to create municipalities that will be headed by local collaborators based on the results of sham elections in the occupied territories on the only voting day in Russia, September 10. As reported by Ukrinform, on the night of August 14, Russian forces attacked Odessa region 3 times. The invaders used 15 combat drones and 8 Caliber missiles to strike the region. In total, the defense forces destroyed 15 Shahed-136 131st unmanned aerial vehicles, 8 Caliber cruise missiles, as well as an enemy in the sky over Ukraine on the night of August 14. Ukraine's defense forces eliminated about 255,570 Russian invaders between February 24, 2022 and August 16, 2023, including 650 in the last 24 hours. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said this in a post on Facebook, Ukrinform reports.